Hello, everyone, and I want to kind of say, first of all, thank you for joining us here this evening. This is what we call Founder Chat, and it's a candid interview with some of the different Monat market partners that we have here on our team. And tonight, we're going to chat with founder Toni Vanschoyck, who has an amazing story about her experience with the company and what she has seen in a very short period of time. So again, these are just a series of interviews. They're done by the field, for the field, and it gives you a first-hand look at the faces behind the founders and the people that are loving this company, building this company, and sharing amazing things with others. So to start out with tonight, I want to welcome Toni. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Jody, and putting this together. I think it's fantastic.
I'm just so excited for people to get to know all the founders and just see how different and how much alike we all are, and how similar our backgrounds are, how similar our dreams are, and yet being so diverse that we can all achieve the same goal. So just to kind of lead in, and I like to ask this to everyone, before Monat came into your life, before you ever heard the word Monat, knew what it was, tell me what your life looked like then.
Well, my life right then, I was at a crossroads. I had been in another company for quite a long time, and unfortunately, the year and a half prior to finding Monat, they had closed, and I was kind of struggling on what to do. I had been in network marketing for a very long time, loved it, but I was just not passionate about anything that I had heard of. So I was about ready to take a full-time job, actually, and that would have been the first time I would have done that in over 20 years. So my life was a little bleak looking before this came into my life on the professional side of things.
Amazing. I can relate to that a little bit, and I think a lot of times people do. We see how great this industry is, and quite often, even though, we make changes or do different things, it's funny how even when I started, I felt a little lost at that point, when Monat came into my life, and I think a lot of people can resonate with that. And you just decided, I don't, worst case scenario, once you know what this industry can do, it's really difficult, to go back and build somebody else's dream.
Oh, exactly. I mean, I literally was more depressed over that fact than anything else, because again, being in this industry, I have to have definite passionate for, the company, the product, the people behind it, and it has to have just a phenomenal pay plan. And there was just, I had looked for a year and a half and had not found anything, and I was holding out. I was literally holding out because I was so afraid to take the job that I was offered, and I was just waiting until the last possible moment.
And good thing you did. So let's talk about that. So you're waiting to this last possible moment of just dreading, again, being away from your kids and all the different things that go with these corporate careers. How the heck were you introduced to Monat? Tell me, your story is going to be a little bit different and really unique.
Yeah. I actually, as again, last resort, I had reached out to a lot of professionals that I know in the industry, just asking them if they had heard anything. I really wanted to, explore working on the corporate side for a company, as a national sales trainer, not really knowing at the time that there's a lot of travel involved with that, more so than what I ever do now, and, the time commitment, and it's still answering to somebody else's schedule and somebody else telling me when I can get paid, and how much that I got paid. And so when I reached out to somebody that I really admired, that I worked with, that was in the corporate side of another company, and I was a field leader in that company, I reached out to him and I asked him, I said, hey, have you heard anything? And he said, well, he goes, I did hear of a new company called Monat that's going to be launching soon. And I had asked him specifically for startups, because I love working in startups, because if it's really a niche market product, it can take off very quickly. Being there first, it does have its advantages. So that was my first exposure, and it was actually somebody that he had worked with at another company. And I got the contact information, and I literally got off the phone with him, and I called this other person right away, and I sat on the phone with her for almost 2 hours.
Oh my goodness. So that kind of leads to, and the cool thing of what you just said, and anybody that's got any direct selling experience and network marketing experience, that the people were already talking about this company before there was ever a field or a team or independent market partners, that other people knew this was coming. And I think that says so much about our growth, but a really cool thing to point out.
Yeah, it really was. And the funny thing is that when I found out a little bit more, there were people that were involved that I knew of that were already in the industry for quite a long time. So that first exposure, and mind you, I found them 6 weeks prior to when they were even going to open it up to allow people to sign up. So I had a lot of time to do my process of discovery.
Which is always important. So tell me about, so the point of your first exposure to you being connected with the company, which would be like somebody sharing Monat with anybody in the field. How long did it take you to kind of get that this was different and go, I think I'm going to go for this?
Well, because I found them 6 weeks prior, I really had a lot of time to do research on the company, really dissect their comp plan, talk to some of the people on the field side or on the corporate side, and really do also research on the family and what they were about. So I didn't have any choice but to wait.
Exactly.
Exactly. But what it really did is it really allowed me to have the time to make a solid decision on whether this was going to be the right fit for me. And so when I was doing that process of discovery, and when it came time to make the commitment, I was definitely scared because the one thing that I did know is that knowing everything that I had learned working for other startups, other companies, being very close with the owners and with the corporate staff, I knew what I didn't want. And that was key with Monat, and the fact that they had a combined 30 years experience both building teams and being owners. So when I signed up August 15th, I started out a little bit slow. That first 2 weeks, I was scared to talk to anybody at all. And I talked to a few people, and I sponsored my first 4 market partners. And I had a lot of help from my regional sales manager, who was so wonderfully supportive in helping me get back on my feet, being confident in myself that I could do this. I think I kind of already did, but I just was, still scared because you're always worried about, well, what if I fail again? What if I fail again? But my series of past failures led me up to this moment right now, and I think that this is probably my greatest dance to date as far as, starting out with Monat back in August.
That gives me goosebumps. So let me ask you this, Toni. If we ran into each other at a coffee shop today, and I shared with you Monat, maybe shared with you a business overview and some stuff in a sample, how long do you think it would take you to get it and go now?
You know what? I got to be passionate about it, and if knowing that I would have amazing leadership, if I plugged into the program, I would want it to happen as fast as possible. I want to get on the phone. I would want to get on the phone right away and start talking to people. I'm an all-in or nothing person, and I want to start contacting people, and within 24 hours.
Awesome. Well, here's great. That's awesome because we can talk about taking what you just said and the number one thing you did, in that first month, in that first fast start period. What was the number one thing you think you did that helped you succeed?
You know what? I talked to as many people as possible. Anybody that would listen to me, anybody that would give me 5 minutes. My first goal in my first fast start period, my first full month, I just wanted to get my first 3 market partners for that first $600 bonus that we had available, which we still have available.
Yep.
But that and it ended up being a heck of a lot more than that in my first full month, because I talked to key people, and then they started talking to key people, and we had no idea what we were doing. We had no marketing materials. We had no formal calls. We were just, oh my gosh, this is such a great opportunity. It's anti-aging hair care, and nobody has done that. And so we really just translated that excitement and that passion, and people love to know what's new, and people love to be excited by other people that are passionate and excited. So I would definitely say that it was just us sharing. We didn't know, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. So we would just say, hey, do you have a few minutes? And then I would do the three-way calls with Angela and get her on the phone because I was learning from her on what to do and what to say.
Awesome. That was key, what you just said. Okay, so you did some great things, and you talked to key people, and you talked to a lot of people because you didn't, you just, share it, let other people decide. Did you make any mistakes along the way here? Anything that you learned and went,
How much time do we
have? Right? Everybody's got that list.
Yeah. I try to be as humble as possible, but I think that this was moving so rapidly. I had never built anything this big in another company. After month 2, it was the largest organization that I had in all 3 companies that I was with formerly, and I'm a very hard worker. I almost think that maybe my head got a little too big for my britches. And so I kind of had to reel myself back in, and my joy is always helping other people be successful. But I think because I kind of came to a point where, I thought that maybe I did know more than most people did, when in fact, even a newest market partner coming into this business can teach you something. And so I really had to take a step back, reel my ego in, and just really come from a point of servant leadership.
Awesome. And it's so cool that you said that, because we all learn something. The path is going to teach us some good and bad no matter what, and you continue to, take that opportunity to just empower yourself, which is just as important as empowering others. So let me ask you this. We know that we've got 9 amazing products. What's your favorite? Do you have your absolute favorite?
Well, the mask absolutely is probably for my hair, it is amazing, but the Rejuvenique oil, because it works on all sorts of stuff. I use the Rejuvenique every day as a moisturizer. It's the best moisturizer I've ever used, and I've used it also on some of my sun damage. So I use that daily. I don't shampoo every day. But the mask, it is just, it makes my hair shine, and it makes it glow, and it makes it hold its color for such a long time. So I can't say that I have one. I really have 2.
Yeah, right. We all have a few, but I agree. I love the mask. The oil, I was always nervous about putting an oil on my face, because I've always had super sensitive skin, and I could not believe that it didn't make my skin break out at all.
Yeah.
And just what a difference it made. It was such great product. Thanks for sharing your favorite. I like to ask a lot of people too. Some people just, learn from others, or you found cool things to say along the way as you've been involved. When people come up to you, you might have a favorite go-to response if somebody asks you what you do, or if somebody asks, who is Monat? Do you have a favorite go-to line for some of these?
What I do, and my best pickup line is, I get paid to wash my hair. Would you?
Well, that's good. So when people say, what you do, you say, I get paid to wash my hair, would you?
Mm-hmm.
I love that you throw it back at a question, because people are going to go, most people probably say, what do they say? What? What do you mean? Huh?
Exactly. That's, most of the time if I'm out and about, that's just it's an icebreaker, and people laugh, and they're like, what do you mean? And I say, you know what? I am a network marketing professional with an anti-aging hair care company called Monat, and I get paid to wash my hair. Would you like to try some hair crack? And just really coming at it from a humorous standpoint, it really just breaks the ice with people. So that's one of the things, because I love to be funny. I think we need more laughter in the world. So I really try to, because it engages them, and they're like, well, what do you mean? What do you mean you get paid to wash your hair? What is anti-aging hair care? Because nobody has ever a great door opener.
Oh, it really is. So that's a great tip. I appreciate it. I love it. I absolutely love it. I love that you added not only what you do, but ask, would you, because that immediately puts them in their mind, huh? And whether they realize it or not, it's something that that's a question that they're going to ask either consciously or subconsciously. So super awesome. I like to kind of go into advice corner. Everybody might have some tips or things that they've seen or what's worked for their team. So if I could ask you, if someone's a market partner and they're listening into this, or somebody's just signing up, or maybe they've been doing this for a while and, just kind of always sharpening the saw, what are your top 2 tips you might have for anybody that's building a Monat business?
Well, you know what? It comes down to, you know, work your business and use the plan. The plan, you know, again, keeping it simple, make your contact list, do three-way calls, do Monat meetups. That will keep your business thriving. So that really is, you know, my top tip, because if you do those three things, you will always have a successful business, and you doing those, you will teach your new market partners to do those. And as a leader, we have to lead by example, because we have to model the behavior that we want to see our teams do.
Absolutely. And, you know, I'd like to always ask people this, too. Everybody's got, like, a favorite quote. It could be something from a movie. It could be something that they wrote. It could be a famous quote for a president, whatever it might be. Do you have a favorite quote that you share, or it's your go-to quote when you're thinking about things for yourself or for other people? Do you have a favorite quote by any chance?
I do. And, you know, this is something that I've kind of formulated over the years. And I found it because oftentimes, you know, people will treat this like a hobby or, you know, something that they can make a little bit of money at, not seeing what the big vision is, and that is truly changing your financial future. So my quote is, when you treat your business like you've invested $1 million, you're going to get that return on investment. But love what you do. Have passion and have fun. And I think that's, you know, especially when you treat your business like a business, other people are going to treat your business like a business. And you're going to get, you know, a lot more qualified referrals or potential new market partners. So I think that's really, really important. And oftentimes people don't do that.
Absolutely. Great advice and tips. So I'd like to always kind of just take a peek at what your life looks like today. You know, as you've earned some significant income, you know, in this company, and you've been able to do some really cool things. And I've got this great picture of your beautiful kids. You know, how has Monat changed your life, and what cool things have happened, and how does your life look better today because of, you know, the effort that you put in and what you did?
Well, you know, I've made more money in my life now than I ever have, and money is a great side effect of this business, and you can do a lot of things with it. But Jody, the first month I got my paycheck, it changed my entire financial future in 1 month. But what now it has helped to do is open up a lot of doors that I didn't have options to do. You know, buying a car for cash instead of having a car payment, truly being able to see the light at the end of the tunnel and paying off all my debts. The other goal, which is finally coming true, I'm throwing my children in the car, and we are taking a trip for the entire month of July for the first time ever. But I'm going to go look at several cities that I've always wanted to live on the beach, and that has been my biggest, my laser beam focus. That I have had this dream for 8 years, and now it's finally able to happen. I'm sorry, I'm starting to get a little.
No, it's good. It's right. It's what this industry does. You know, it's amazing. I'm choked up right there with you. And I've got.
And so I'm able to go look at places that I've always wanted to see and live. And so I have that opportunity to do that this summer, and that's exactly what we're doing. And I'm really, really excited to, you know, have that opportunity, because before it wasn't, even being in my other direct sales business, I did not have that financial flexibility. I made a great living, but this has just been a complete game changer. And not only that, I'm able to give so much more, you know, with not only financial but time and helping other people. So that has made a tremendous difference in all of my lives, because my kids see, you know, the time and the money that we can tithe now, and it's just, it's amazing to be able to show them that.
Isn't that amazing when you can show your kids what's possible?
Yes.
It's just unbelievable. Thank you for sharing that. When you look at some final words, if somebody stumbles upon this, or someone is shared this because of maybe your story or something that resonates, and maybe they're looking at Monat to see if it's a fit for them, what would it be that you would, maybe final words you'd have to say for somebody taking a look at Monat?
You know, the thing about it is that, you know, still in this day and age, you know, I don't hear it as much as often as I used to, because I think that network marketing is creating and helping so many people financially. But you know what? If you have any interest in the product line at all, do your due diligence and just take a look at the business side of this, because it really can change somebody's financial future, even if it's just adding $300 or $400 a month to their monthly income. But do your due diligence in checking it out. Take 10 minutes. And the reason is because if this is not a right fit for you, you definitely know somebody that this could be a right fit for, that we could help, help them product-wise or on the business opportunity side. So, and you never know what you might discover that you might be interested yourself. So I always say, take the time to do the research, and it could be 10 minutes, it could be 10 hours if you're like me. But you know what? Give it a chance and just check it out. And that's the only thing. Get on an opportunity call and just see if it's a right fit, because you know what, 9 times out of 10 people don't know how powerful this industry is. People don't know that that really this can give opportunities to so many, because we really have no idea what's happening behind closed doors, even your best friend or a sibling or a family member. But I'm going to tell you what, my experience in this industry is that everybody is always looking to make a multiple stream of income, replace their income, or get out of their dead-end job.
Absolutely. Well, Toni, I can't thank you enough for taking a few minutes, just to share your story, share your background, put yourself out there just to say what you learned, what worked, what didn't, and where you are today. Because, I think it's important for others to see the life stories of the faces of the Monat founders, and I'm so glad you joined me with this. It means so much that you spend a little time to share something that might empower someone else. So thank you so much, Toni.
No, thank you, Jody, again for putting this together. This is a great format. Love it, and I cannot wait to share with others.
Awesome. Thanks so much, everyone. You guys all have a wonderful evening. And if somebody shared this with you in this interview, make sure you get back with them, ask them questions, and look forward to the next Founder Chat. Thank you so much.